Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It's a joy to be with you today here on AM 950 Radio. Please go to the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page. That is where I can receive friends. And the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. I need you to like and subscribe there. And then please, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please do me that favor and become my friend. I think we're bringing up Zach Roberts.
Hello.
Oh,
Finally.
my word.
He's
Hey.
back.
All right. We're very excited to have this brilliant photojournalist with us, and everybody's got a big smile because you know what? We have been trying to work out the technical side, but he can do it. So glad that you are with us today. And I'm also on Twitter at Santita J. So let's talk about this election, everybody. Today, as we're pre-recording this, but as this comes up for you, the window will close for any state that does not have same-day on-site registration. This is the last day to do it, everybody. Go to vote.org, check your status no matter what. You need to check your status and make sure that you are still on the voter rolls. And so we're going to be talking about that. And going forward over the next month, we're going to be talking with you, Attorney Darrell Jones, and really kind of giving people a drill almost every day about what to do if you run into trouble at the polls, what should happen? Because, we're not really T.O. Hardeman thinking about it until it happens to you in real time. Then you freak out and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Well, you call it 1-866-OUR-VOTE. But and we have to be concerned with that. Why? Because now people are actually going to early vote. So there's that. But those of us who have not voted early or who might not still vote, we're still holding out our opinions. We want to hear more. We want to hear more, not just from the Democrats and Republicans, but from everyone else. And that's why Christina Tobin is here from the Free and Equal Elections Foundation. Indeed, they are going to have yet another debate in Los Angeles on October 23rd. Am I correct? All right.
That's correct.
Very excited about that. Attorney Darrell Jones, Transformative Justice Coalition chair. Excuse me. He and Attorney Barbara Arnwine have been on a Get Out the Vote tour. And so we're grabbing you off the road today. And we're so glad that we were able to rendezvous with you to talk about that. And of course, T.O. Hardeman, you have been organizing people here in Chicago and listening to them. Of course, you're on WVON at 7 a.m. on
6 a.m. 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
That's right, because I didn't want you to clash with Keep Hope Alive. Thank you very much. That's right, 6 a.m. on WVON. And of course, you are on WOL every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You're at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, T.O. Hardeman.
Yes.
You're at
Yes,
12. You're at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday, Darrell Jones, along with Attorney Barbara Arnwine. Dr. LaShawn Latrice, she is a community psychologist, and she is making some noise for the people, and we just love that. Zach Roberts, one of the filmmakers who brings us yet another gem, Vigilantes, Inc. I know you've streamed more than 1 million people have seen this, right?
Yeah, between our trailers and the social media clips we put out, we're easily in the hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
And it's incredible. And, of course, I hope you'll be in Chicago with Greg Palast in a couple of weeks because we're going to have another showing, Dr. Latrice, here in Chicago.
That's great.
So we're going to have a big showing and we're going to have a nice opportunity to talk about the vote because T.O. Hardeman, I'm going to need you to help us to organize that so we can get people over to Rainbow Push and watch this movie together. We need to do that. I think it'll get everybody excited. But as we talk about this election, well, first of all, let me start with you, Zach. Vigilantes, Inc. What is the film about? And I have a feeling that when people see it, they'll be inspired to vote.
I hope so, because one of the biggest things that we always worry about, and that I think one of the reasons that Democrats and a lot of people don't talk about voter suppression as much, is because supposedly it's going to scare people to vote. Which is always, to me, is always if they say, oh, you got to get there early or else you're not going to get this deal. People will show up in lines around the block to get the TV. But for some reason, if you tell people they're trying to take this away from you, take this right to vote away from you, then, for some reason they're not going to show up. What this film shows is the new method of voter suppression that a lot of people in the Republican Party are trying, especially in the state of Georgia, which is basically citizen challenges, these vigilantes, these people who are taking the law upon to themselves through SB 202 to restrict people's right to vote through voter challenges. So basically all you need to do under SB 202 is basically show up, claim that you believe your neighbor, Joe Smith, has moved, and show some sort of evidence, which in my experience, looking at their affidavits, which it's a strong legal term for what they have in them. Often those affidavits include screenshots of Facebook posts of people saying I moved or I'm down in Texas, when these people are military voters, which, people move a lot and in the military, and you get to keep where you consider home as you're registered as the place that you're registered to vote. And so they question anybody based on, they bought a bunch of land in Missouri, which means now they move there. And so this group alone, True the Vote, has challenged over 1 million challenges in 1,600 counties across the country. This is the same group, if you remember from the documentary, I'm going to again put in very light terms, 2,000 Mules, that claim that voter boxes were being basically people were just dumping votes into them, and they couldn't prove a single thing in there. This is why their film got pulled. So this is the new challenge. This is the new thing that's going to show up on election day, that you're going to find out. Again, this is why you got to check your voter registration. Find out that you have been put on an inactive and basically challenged list. And this is, again, happening across the country, but especially worry about this in Georgia.
Well, we understand that Leonardo DiCaprio and Jamie Foxx, and hey, you have the star power with you.
Yeah.
But they have made it possible for us to see this movie for free.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
So there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. You can go to watchvigilantesinc.com, and you can watch it on your computer right there. We're going to have it out, hopefully up on Amazon Prime in a couple days. There's some technical stuff we always got to work through. And then we're doing screenings that if you go to gregpalast.com, you can find out about the screenings that are happening across the country. We're having them in Madison. We're obviously having them in Chicago coming up soon. And those are always either free or cheap for donation to the Palace Investigative Fund. And we're going to be expanding it soon. It's going to be up in a couple weeks, in a little while, it'll be up on YouTube, and much easier ways of seeing it as well.
Oh, that is fantastic. Well, as we speak about restrictions, the voices of candidates have been restricted. A lot of people, I was watching C-SPAN really over the past few days, and more people, they don't see the choices as being binary, T.O. Hardeman. Simply Republicans and Democrats. People are they're searching, and they're being quite deliberate and vocal in their searches. In the meantime, or should I say at the same time, you're not hearing all of these. You're not hearing on the stage Cornel West. You're not hearing a Dr. Jewel Stein. You're not hearing Claudia de la Cruz. You're not hearing all the libertarians. You're not hearing all these people who, when you listen to them, Zach, some of their message resonates with you, if not all of it.
Yeah.
And so this Christina Tobin has been fighting for years, and she's been putting on these debates, and they just continue to grow and grow and grow, because quite frankly, this is where the plurality of Americans are. They want to hear everybody. I don't, wherever you land, but at least let me hear you. Christina Tobin, what's happening in Los Angeles with the Free and Equal Elections Foundation?
Oh, Zach, great to meet you. I met with Greg Palast quite a few years ago. My friend Ed Asner, the late and great Ed Asner, accommodated him at one of the opening premieres that he was in, his movie. And so please say hi to Greg for me. And Free and Equal Elections, we've been hosting presidential debates since 2008. So 16 years now is our fourth cycle. And October 23rd, it will be our fourth presidential debate this year. we'll be hosting in Los Angeles, state of the art. In fact, the venue where Lady Gaga shot at all last week, Taylor Swift, the production level is beyond any of what I could have. I'm so grateful that we have the team that we have and the production. And we've opened up the debate to candidates not only on the ballot in enough states to be viably electable and or receive 2% in a national poll, but we went beyond that and we brought in Claudia de la Cruz, Dr. Cornel West have been invited, that is. However, the confirmed candidates to date are of the third, fourth, and fifth largest political parties. Libertarian Chase Oliver, Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party, and Randall Terry of the Constitution Party. They're running real campaigns, and I really hope that Claudia de la Cruz, Dr. Cornel West, Trump, and Harris can also be a part of the debate. So we open it up to more voices and more choices, and we have a way bigger vision brewing. As you can see, the Chuck D image here with United We Stand personally signed, let's go. And so we're kicking off the United We Stand tour for 2025. I've been told it's fully backed. I'll believe it. I believe it, but it's going to be a dreams come true, really, when you put the work in. I've been in it for 25 years. So I've heard of Greg. He's been an inspiration. I love that he puts the ideas out there. You don't have to believe in all of them, but I think most of them, if not all, are mostly true. But I love that he puts the ideas out there, and we have a lot of room for reform. We do have a lot of fraud in the electoral system, from the voting to the voting machines to the ballot acts. These are the kind of issues we're going to talk about in our debates, as well as World War, potentially, hopefully not, 3, to the ports being blocked, to things that were not addressed at the VP debate, which really should have been.
Well, yeah, and they need to be addressed because, before I pivot to you, Daryl Jones, there are many questions that people have had before President Trump asked questions about the integrity of the voting system. More than 30 years ago, as they were really pushing to move toward a machine-driven voting system, Reverend Jackson strenuously objected to that. He said that you leave too much room for grabs. And when you don't let people on the stages of debate, he said eventually this is going to hurt the process. It's going to hurt the republic. It will damage democracy. And this is where we are. You hear more and more people, they do not have faith in the system because they do not feel that they are being heard, and they feel that the system is what? Rigged. And it is. And we don't need to do better. We need to do right. Because, we keep thinking, Christina, that people, there's something that old Black folks used to say, every shut eye ain't sleep. Come on. That's right, Daryl. LaShawn, if we see you, I know you would be smiling too. Tio, you heard that before. Every shut eye ain't sleep. You don't know what people know. You know what they tell you, Christina. And a lot of people are feeling all kinds of ways, not just about Gaza and what's happening there. They're feeling this way about this disaster that we're seeing in Appalachia and really in the eastern and the southeastern part of the United States, and they're not getting the relief that they need. So what do you hope, what should be our takeaway from this debate, and how can we see it?
The debate series is a catalyst for the launch of the United We Stand tour. We're going to see up to 7 different artists perform during this debate, October 23rd, and Santita will be gracing us with her presence of opening up with the national anthem. Different genres, different music. We've had Chuck D, to Immortal Technique, to the Marley, and so on throughout the tour. And this debate will discuss the issues that are at the top of the minds of the people. Through that conversation, we're going to bring about peace and tranquility, and through arts and music. It's interesting, the shift has happened with free and equal elections, where our support has now primarily is coming from the artistic realm and music, not politics. So that's exactly no strings attached. And we'll be having a blockchain voting happening at the end of the debate, powered by Nexus.io. Colin Cantrell, his father, co-founded SpaceX with Elon Musk. Going to be broadcast on Rumble, Scripps News, C-SPAN, and more. And what we're going to see at this debate is the beginning of igniting a truly independent movement. That blockchain app will transform that is, and bring about transparency within our electoral process. It will be a social media hub, a hub beyond traditional, that is social media. And so I invite all independent journalists and artists and organizations and Rock the Vote to represent us, to Greg, to Zach, to Daryl, and all diversities of all youth and all races, because we are one. The only thing I'm anti, you'll find me, I am anti-violence. I am for peace. Nonviolent action is the way to go. We invite everybody on our stage to express what they believe from a peaceful place. And this tour, fully transparent, the goal is to replace most, if not every, members of Congress with people that are not beholden to the two-party system, beyond the two-party system. Third, fourth, fifth largest parties, independent candidates are the future, and technology is going to be able to give them that level playing field to win come 2026 and so on.
Well, I'm all about replacing. Just leave Jonathan Jackson alone. Yeah, I said that part. Come on, hey, he's my brother. I'm going to stand up with you about that. Oh, yeah, he just got
Let's leave Thomas Massey there. How about that? Representative Thomas Massey co-moderated.
I hear you, but I got to take care of home first. And I love Representative Massey, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, I'd love to meet Mr. Jackson next time I'm in Chicago.
I want you, or Washington. Look, you never know where he's going to be because he's in so many places right now. In fact, we're all over the place because he is campaigning right now, trying to get the not just Democrats at the top of the ticket, but to get really have a progressive direction. Really in this cycle, because in fact, one of the persons who Reverend endorsed is not a Democrat, Bob Fioretti, Tio Hardiman. Bob Fioretti is someone who's very, very active in the community. There's nothing you cannot reach out to him that he won't try to do for you. I will work with him. I mean, he does it. He does it whether he's running for office or not. I mean, and I love that and I appreciate that. And that's where I am. I want to work with people. Okay. And that's it. That's where I am on that, because you guys know I'm an independent Democrat. I come out of Chicago and we had a machine, and that machine was oppressive, and I'm not with it. I'm not with oppression, however it manifests. Thank you very much. Enough of my proselytizing. Attorney Daryl Jones, what are you seeing as you are out getting out the vote?
Well, Santita, thank you very much for the platform and to raise this. And let me just say this, as we talk today, today is the birthday of Fannie Lou Hamer. Mm-hmm. And in recognition of that, we have going around the state of Maryland, multiple votercades encouraging people to get out, carrying the image of Fannie Lou Hamer with the wording, "Protect our vote." Because that's really what this is about now, is protecting our vote and getting people registered. One of the things, Santita, I would be remiss if I did not say that, you need to go to vote.org and check your voter registration status. You need to find out, do you need to register? Because in many states, the deadline is October the 7th. 15 states, the deadline is October the 7th. If you have not registered by October the 7th and your state does not have same-day voter registration, you will be precluded from participating in this election. So it's so important that people right now go to vote.org, see if you're on the list, see if you've been purged. Now, as Zach was speaking and Greg Pallas has been preaching, there are a lot of voting purging that goes on, and people don't know they've been purged. They have no idea they've been removed from the voter list. That's why it's so important to go to vote.org to check on your voter status. Now, Santita, we're just coming out of, oh my goodness, we were in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then from Cincinnati, we're in Pittsburgh, and then we're headed to Georgia and then to Detroit. But here's what we're hearing and what I've been hearing on the road. A lot of people don't know whether or not they can vote, particularly if they have a prior felony on their record. They have no idea. They assume they can't vote. They remove themselves from the process, when in fact, in many states, such as Ohio, if your feet are in the street, you have the ability to vote. But someone has to tell them that. State of Maryland, same. State of Illinois, the same. Michigan, the same. But people have got to let them know that they have that right to vote, because the assumption is that once you have a felony on your record, an F on your report card, that you can no longer vote, no longer in your lifetime can you vote. That's the belief that many have, because that's the story that's been said for so many years. So it's important to go to vote.org to educate folks with regards to their voting status. What's becoming really interesting as well, Santita, is that when we were in Pittsburgh, where I'm just arriving from today, there are areas, people talk about Pennsylvania, and that's wonderful. And when they talk about Pennsylvania, people tend to think Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia is populous area, blah, 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 blah. Philadelphia appears to be fine. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is the forgotten child. We go into the poorest communities in the areas that we go to. When we went into Pittsburgh, how many campaign signs do you think we saw? Try zero, nothing. We talked to some of the folks that are active in Pittsburgh and the Black communities in particular, and they've indicated that no one has come to them to ask them about voting. No one has come to them to encourage them to vote, to encourage them to register. That the first contact they had was Saturday, when we came through encouraging and signing people up to vote. That's
the Transformative
unacceptable.
Justice Coalition.
The Transformative Justice Coalition, that's correct, along with the League of Women Voters and several other of our partners that came in to do that. So that's what's troubling. And if it's there in Pittsburgh, the question is, where else is it? If this isn't isolated to Pittsburgh, that means that there's a deaf ear that's there to this community. And the question is, how do we get that community active? How do we get that community to the polls? And now time is not our friend with regards to getting them registered, unless they're in a same-day registration state. Problem there, of course, is if no one's talking to them, they're not going to know they can register the same day. So, those are the issues that we are encountering right now. And it's just, it's sad that it's occurring. It's disappointing that it takes outside forces to come in to try to raise this, to get folks registered to vote. Hats off to Senator Vincent Hughes, as well as who is the state senator in Pennsylvania, as well as Joanne McClinton, the Speaker of the House. Because as soon as we raised it to them, they were on it. They were on it, and now they're going to be, sending folks into those communities to be certain that they have the opportunity to register and the opportunity to participate. But that's what's very concerning to us right now, Santita, is that we know Pittsburgh is a piece of the puzzle. The question is, how many other pieces are untouched that are out there?
That is unbelievable. I mean, what are the Democrats thinking? First, we don't have we didn't get the executive action on voter rights. We're seeing a million voters, Christina Tobin, Zach Roberts, 1 million voters, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, Tio Hardiman, 1 million voters in Texas alone have been purged. 1 million. That's in one state. And that happens to be the state where that has the highest percentage of Blacks and the highest number of Blacks in the country. But it's a rainbow state. And there has been an absolute reluctance, a pushback by the Democrats in particular, about talking about voter suppression and purges, Daryl Jones. And that's a mistake, and when you speak with them, they'll say, well, we don't, if we talk about it, it's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm like, honey, prophecy has been fulfilled. You need to get these people back on the voter rolls. Daryl? So what's the deal?
No, you're 100% on point. And a prime example of that is Jacksonville, Florida. The last time we spoke about Jacksonville, Florida, they have put 90,000 people on an inactive list, preparing them to be purged, and did not notify them, said they couldn't reach them. So, of course, the Transformative Justice Coalition, our organization, and several other local organizations got involved and started raising Cain about it, saying, y'all got to do something, but this isn't right. The same way you go through the process of preparing to purge someone, you need to take steps to notify them that they were about to be purged. And as a result of that, as of last week, that 90,000 is down to 34. But that's still not good enough. We need to get it down to 0. There should not be anyone on an inactive list. I agree with Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jackson has always said, it should be automatic voter registration, and you should never be removed from that ability to vote. It just shouldn't happen. But what we know, Santita, is that it's incredibly important for people to check their status and certainly to take up the cause of finding out who in your family has been purged. One of the things that I've started doing, and I encourage everyone to do this, if you're at a Monday night football game or Sunday church, or if you're at a prayer service, or whatever your gathering is, have everybody at your gathering go to vote.org and look up their voter registration status. It doesn't take but a minute just to find out what their status is. But the onus is going to be on us. It's not going to be on anyone else. No one's going to do this for us but us. So we have got to take the charge. Shouldn't be that way, but that's where we are right now. And we've got to take the charge to be certain that the community is registered and has the ability to cast that ballot, and for them to be knowledgeable of what happens if you're in a state like Georgia and you're challenged and you don't find out about it until you get there to cast your vote.
Well, then, Carol Soskin, my sister, is getting worked up. She said, Christina Tobin, she wants to know where the debate is because she wants to be there. And Carol has to be my +1, which Daryl was going to be in Las Vegas, but he didn't get there in time. But that's all right. I'm not mad at you. Carol's my sister. I gotta bring her. We gotta bring Carol. Carol, it's October 23rd. Where is she going to be and what time?
It's a private venue. For security purposes, capacity was increased to 100 from 100 to 200. So it'll be invite only. So of course, Carol and you are invited to be there. Everybody on this call, for that matter, Daryl, Zach, and it will be October 23rd from 8 to 10:30 Eastern time. It is expanded from 2 to 2.5 hours with Scripps News putting commercials in. And we have a coalition building around this debate. We already have dozens or more. So, of course, I welcome vote.org. I need to call up my friends at Fair Vote and Represent Us. And
that's right.
Ben and Jerry and David Bronner's and all those organizations that we worked with in the past. Of course, Greg is probably still in LA. I'd love him to. He's got to be there.
He's coming to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Ed Asner was... Ed Asner co-moderated Free and Equal's 2016 presidential debate with me, as well as Larry King in 2012. We lost both of them the same year as my father too. So it was a lot of as for many, quite a year. And so, but I would love to have all of you there. It's definitely a hand-picked crowd for this round. We plan to open it up, in different venues and more people in the future, but it's open source live stream. And I just have to say that it's the rigged electoral process that keeps getting these same people elected over and over again. They want these flaws. They want the people to be like, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. And you know what? They might be kind of right that in many cases it doesn't count. But let's fix it, because the moment you give up, you become a part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And these solutions are actually quite easy. I mean, we can cast a ballot in the future, paper ballot, get a code and check on the blockchain ledger that our vote counts. And we're bringing that within our debates. We're teaching people that they can vote after the debate on October 23rd. You can go to freeandequal.org to sign up for the live stream. And you can vote after the debate via ranked choice voting. There are a lot of great alternative voting methods beyond ranked choice voting. There's score voting and star voting and approval voting. Ranked choice voting is definitely in the lead right now, but why are we using the singular vote? Because it creates the illusion of a spoiler effect, when in fact the spoilers are the Democrats and Republicans alike that allow singular vote to be our voting method. That's the problem. They're the spoilers, not the candidates running against them. So we see that here at Free and Equal Elections. We see through the veil, the Wizard of Oz, and so does Greg and Zach and everybody on this call. So Santita, now that we have a double capacity, I welcome you to invite all your friends that are in the network within the LA area to be at this private event, this debate. But it will be open source and anybody can watch it because the vision is not for sale.
Well, Carol is one of our founding morning stars, so we've got to bring her. Yes. She will be there with me. And Carol, we're going to be in touch so that you can. She said she can't wait to be there, and I can't wait for you to be there either. It's going to be something really, really exciting. T.O. Hardiman,
yes.
You have a very, very popular radio show here in Chicago that we can hear all over the country. It's one of the premier black talk radio stations in the country, WVON, where I started my radio career, in fact. And you're on at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time every Sunday, WVON, Voice of the Negro, historically. This is the station that crowned Aretha Franklin the Queen of Soul. the owner of the station, may he rest in peace. That's right. Come on, you gotta give it to Perfect Span, the blues man.
Oh yeah.
Because in fact, all the history. I mean, this is where Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, when they were on Steeltown Records before Motown, their records were played out of WVON. They became stars there. And we just keep on going. This is an iconic radio station, and he's got one of the biggest shows there every Sunday. Talk to us. What are you hearing from people, Tio Hardiman? There is so much going on right now, from the migrant crisis to what we're seeing happen. Like we said, many of us still have family in the Carolinas and in the South, and we're worried about that. We're worried about this escalating crisis in the Middle East. It's just take your pick, honey. I don't even know where to begin. So, Tio, what are you hearing from people?
No, what I'm hearing from people right now, it's going to come down to, as we all know, a very, very tight race. And we're talking about purging voters and all that kind of stuff. It's very important because right now the current polls have Kamala Harris at 49% and Donald Trump at 47%, right? So we have to take a look at, that's why all the votes matter, all the votes count. And I'm like Christina and everybody on this here alive right now. I wish all the other parties were like considered, like the Independent Party, the Green Party, but there's nothing we can do about that. But what I'm hearing on the ground level, the migrant issue is still a number one top priority for some people, definitely in states like Illinois and in New York, because a lot of people have issues with the resources being spent on the migrants compared to resources being spent on people that are already here, that have been here struggling for decades, right? That's the number one issue. Gun violence is always going to be an issue, the gun lobby and all that kind of crazy stuff right there. I'm an anti-violence advocate as well, but I do support the Second Amendment. So right now we have other issues at hand. Other than that, the abortion issue is always going to be a tough issue. A woman's right to choose on both ends. It appears that some people think the Republicans are trying to really, really go in there and dictate people's lives, the way they should live their lives and their families. And the Democrats are more liberal and more free-minded. So you also have a few issues, believe it or not. Some of the issues that are surfacing are some of the issues with the, I want to put this in the right context, though, because Mrs. Harris made a comment that she was going to make sure that when she becomes the president, she was going to provide all the guys down in them penitentiaries, if they wanted like a sex change, all right, she would make sure the government pays for it. I just want to put it out there. So those are some issues. You asked me what's going on the ground level. Some people agree with that. Some people do not agree with that. So these are some of the topics that are coming out, and it's narrowing down to all these topics right now. So yes.
Would people not vote for her or vote for her based upon those issues?
No, what I'm saying is these are tough issues that are being discussed on the ground level. Some people may not vote for her based on those issues, without a doubt, but it may not be a big number, right? Because the reality is that I always bring up, some of these other issues on the ground level. So those are the main priorities. But I don't think that's that's going to be like a deal breaker for her right now. Another thing that's coming up, I'm talking about on intellectual level, world level. Some people believe that by Mrs. Harris being a lady, can she handle all these tough guy leaders, the president of Russia, the president of China? I mean, these conversations continue to come up. You got a lot of things unfolding over in the continent of Africa right now. You got African leaders speaking up on a more independent basis, but can she handle those types of deals?
Well, yes. No, let me because I want to know what would be the pushback on her handling these people. I mean, can she handle them? I mean, look, we had Dan Quayle as vice president. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember Dan Quayle.
He perpetually looked like this. And come on, Zach. Everybody, you remember?
Yeah.
I mean, whew, I said, now George H.W. Bush is assassination proof. Look at who he put on the ticket. Nobody's gonna touch this guy. I mean, come on. And you want a question? And they sent him out, and he did the funeral detail as vice president too. But come on. Well, I mean, no. Yeah. I want to know help me, because I'm not fighting with you. I just want to know.
We're just having a conversation. I got it.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to pick your brain because you're talking to people.
Well, let me say this.
What is the fear? Or what? I mean, what are the misgivings? Should I put?
I don't think it's fear, and I'll be straightforward. I just think it's just
that's why I corrected myself. Misgivings. What is?
I think it's more male chauvinistic types of ideologies. That's all it is, because I met with former Prime Minister Theresa May over in the UK before, and former Prime Minister David Cameron. Now, before Theresa May became the Prime Minister over there, she basically, people thought the same about her, but she served the term she served. She did pretty good.
For a week.
Well, yeah, I know it was short lived. Don't get me wrong.
But no, you're not mentioning Maggie Thatcher.
Right. I got a chance to meet with some of the dignitaries over there some years ago. But the main point I want to make before I get out of here, as far as my commentary, the reality is that Mrs. Harris she's fit for the job, the same way Trump is fit for the job. So the voters are we figured out on election day. That's what's happening. But purging votes, voter suppression, that's going to be key. But let's say it comes down to 500,000 votes, so narrow at a 500,000 vote margin of error, right? So that's why those votes will come in handy at. So we have to be careful, because last election, you had a riot that jumped off, you had an insurrection actually that jumped off. So we have to be careful, and I would hate to see this country go into that type of scenario situation again, Santita.
But but we're here, and Trump is not the cause of that. I mean, this is where Americans have been. You do remember when Goldman Sachs held up the United States in 2008 and said, if you don't give us $770 billion
right
for business today, we are shutting down your economy on Monday. Remember that? Everyone remember that?
I remember clearly.
On 2.5 pages that he gave to Nancy Pelosi. Okay. That the chairman gave to Nancy Pelosi. Americans were so incensed that they literally broke the communication system on the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to reconfigure it. So now they limit the number of calls, I'm sure that can come through, and the number of emails, Christina, that can come through the system for both houses of Congress, because Americans were so outraged by this demand while they're losing their homes. Because Tea Party, Occupy, all this stuff came from the same seed, quite frankly. They did, the Siamese twins, honestly. And so, when you have that, I'm kind of weary of people blaming Trump for all of these things. And I'm no Trump apologist. I'm saying he is a symptom of a deeper problem that America has right now.
I concur with you.
Americans are angry. Yeah. Americans are broke. If you just listen to these stories from these people down in Appalachia and in the Carolinas and wherever they've been hit by Hurricane Helene, they're not getting any help. $750, Daryl, is not going to do anything for them. It's not when we blithely cut checks for Ukraine and Israel. That's not working for Americans, and they're angry about it, and they're talking about it. And they're getting on social media and they're saying, do not send anything to FEMA. Send it directly to me, because then I know it'll get to me. So now, wait a minute. When you have that, and see, because we don't know our history, because we don't know that before the March on Washington in '63, before the Resurrection City and the aftermath of Dr. King's death, when my father and Ralph Abernathy had tens of thousands of people living on the mall in Washington. White workers did that in the 20s and 30s because this depression was too much for them. Oh, yeah, this is not new. It's just America has learned how to tamp down dissent. That's the danger. There was a time when you had socialists and you had democratic socialists, you had communists, you had some of everybody. And quite frankly, if America's supposed to be free, you should be free to do all of those things, to be all of those things. But no, that's a black mark, if you will. I should say a white mark if you want to do it that way. And that is just crazy. It's crazy. Now, wait a minute. I'm just going to get to some of these questions. Dr. LaShawn Latrice, give me a chance to get through some of these questions. I want to know what your thoughts are. What are you hearing?
Oh, I can answer now?
Yes. I'm just looking through.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing the same thing that Attorney Darrell was talking about. It's so many people that really don't know their rights. They think because they have a felony on their record that they're not included in the voting process. And then there are tons of people that I've talked to that have never known that they could register same day for the election. So they're not even tapping in mentally because they think they've been counted out. But one thing that I will point out is, as much as it's a bunch of chaos. We have to look at this. Chaos was done intentionally.
Mhm.
It's like a distraction so that people won't really focus on what their rights really are. And that's a disservice to people.
I mean, but you know what? I agree with you, Dr. Latrice, because the thing is, it would be so, how during the Olympics, you have all of these commercials and it's kumbaya. Everybody, I mean, please, we even include now people who are physically challenged. When we want to bring people in and make you feel good about someone, we can do that. That's why I'm concerned about the lack of discussion about the voter purges and the voter repression. That's why we want you to, what is it, saveourvote.org?
Saveyourvote.
Thank you. I tried to,
Yep.
I was going to correct Greg.
I mess it up all the time as well.
No. I said, Greg, I thought you said it was Save Your Vote. Oh, yeah. I was like, all right. But
Yeah. Unfortunately, that domain was like $7,000. So.
No, saveyourvote.org, save your vote. And then, of course, go to gregpalast.com. You can look at it there and you can get some information. But that's why it's disturbing to me. But that's okay, because you have your radio show, T.O. Hardiman, Attorney Darrell Jones, you and Barbara Arnwine have yours, and I have mine. And everybody's got their network. So we just have to let people know that not only do they have until today to get registered to vote, well, more than that, when you get to the polling place and you might run into some trouble, you might have some questions. Maybe the judges, you might not trust the information they give you, and that's fair. They're good people, but they're not judges per se. They're not like lawyers trained in that space. So I think that's why we have to we should really change the naming, because the nomenclature is real off about that, because you assume that they have legal backgrounds and they do not. That's why it's important for us to know. You need to know there's a number that you can call so you can get clarity. 1-866-OUR-VOTE. 1-866-OUR-VOTE. And you also need to go to saveyourvote.org so that you can see this movie and see it, and go to gregpalast.com. And of course, the free and equal elections debate will be October 23rd in Los Angeles. How can we see it? That's what Carol wants to know. She just let me know she can't come. I'm so sad, Carol. But I've got other friends in LA. Don't worry about it. They'll be there.
You can go to freeandequal.org and sign up for the live stream and view it there. And it's going to be on Scripps News and Rumble and C-SPAN, KPFK, and hopefully more.
Oh, all right. I love it. And Chaparral is always asking a question, little flamethrower that she is. Who knew? Why hasn't the Democratic nominee, she doesn't have a name, Chaparral, insisted to her boss, and he has one too, Chaparral, that he needs to sign the executive order to protect the vote? Anyone want to take a stab?
I would just say my biggest thing is, why isn't, the DOJ is doing a little bit. They've gone after a couple people, gone after a couple different states that are doing voter purges and doing things. Why isn't the DOJ going after all of the purges across the country that's happening? Mm-hmm. Why aren't they questioning it? Why aren't they doing anything using their power, that now that the EAC is gone, basically it's a useless organization? The DOJ is one of the few places that can actually protect the vote and is supposed to. And that's what I would like to see. I'm not quite sure, for Biden, executive orders seem to be only things that the Supreme Court can immediately overturn. For Trump, it was always different. It feels like they didn't get overturned as much. But I would like to see the DOJ actually putting, the fear of the federal government into some of these elected officials that are supposed to be representing people, but are kicking off everyone they possibly can across, that they don't like, basically off the voter rolls.
I have a real quick response to that. If they're not working to protect the vote, then they're capable of stealing it.
Mic drop on that. Darrell, you stab anyone else want to? T.O., what were you about to say?
No, I was just listening right now, and mainly I agree with everybody right now. So one last thing I just want to put in there, because when we talked about Trump for a minute, it's not about pointing fingers at Trump. I just want to say there's a perception out there, even in the African American community, that Trump has divided the nation, so to speak. You know, but I know that wasn't his purpose to try to divide the nation. I know that, but that's just the mindset of some people out there. Now, Trump is definitely picking up momentum, though, with the ex-offender population. All right, I just want to put that out there.
No, explain that.
Well, a lot of ex-offenders are supporting Trump due to the fact that there's information out about Mrs. Harris and some of her wrongdoings of just misjudgments when it came down to when she was the attorney general in California, when it comes to ex-offenders, right? She apparently, most ex-offenders believe she does not support the ex-offender population, put it like that. So now you got a groundswell of ex-offenders that are stepping up for Donald Trump, like ex-cons for Donald Trump type of scenario there. And then also for all the people that don't understand that a lot of ex-offenders can vote. And you have several ex-offender leaders that are educating other ex-offenders on the voting process. So that can make a difference, because nationwide, I don't have the numbers right in front of me. You're talking about millions and millions of ex-offenders. You know, the United States incarcerates in the top 3 of incarceration when compared to Russia and China and the United States. We lead the world in incarcerating people.
Oh, by far.
So that's what I'm talking about. You got a lot of people that are on probation, people that have been out for years. So, you know, the numbers multiply. So if Trump could win over that population, he would be back in business again. That's how strong that ex-offender vote could be.
Hold on, for those of you who are Chicago Bears fans, they won 36-20 or 36-10 over the Panthers. I just had to say.
Well, very happy for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, you and I both.
I'm like so shocked. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want to put that's a forgotten population out there.
Yeah.
But nobody
Zach is agreeing.
It is. And I think that's why I've always said, Daryl, she should take the bull by the horns.
Right.
And deal with this and say, you know what, this is what I learned as a prosecutor. I walked in wanting to do this, but I saw the law was this way. And then there were some things that I saw that really angered me, that bothered me. And I was trying to find ways, whatever it was. I think that because I told you this was going to come back, Daryl.
You did.
And it's here because this is what bedeviled the campaign in 2020. This is what pushed her out.
Yeah. And, you know, many people do not know. When you're speaking of California is what I refer to as a feet in the street state, right? Exactly. Which means that if you are an ex-offender and your feet are in the street, you can vote. You know, if you're not incarcerated on a felony crime, you can vote in the state of California. So, you know, and people need to be made aware of that, because if what you're saying is that because Vice President Harris was a prosecutor who was doing her job of prosecuting folks that had committed crimes, or she believed to have committed crimes, and then she thereby removing people's right to vote. Well, you got to remember that right to vote, you know, if it's a felony conviction, is only going to be impacted during the period of incarceration. Because once that person is out, they can vote. Whether they're on parole, probation, whatever it is, they can vote. Unlike Florida, which is a whole different world. The other piece that
Daryl, but see, before you go on, we don't have to remember it because we don't know it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's something that they're not. Oh my gosh, they're not talking about it, because that should be a talking point that these Democrats have on all of these stations. It's not a talking point. They could very easily feed this to Van Jones, just as everybody's phone was blowing up on June 27th when that debate blew up in Biden's face.
There you go.
They were getting all of these. Messages on their phones. You saw them on TV. I know. I've been there. I work in that world. I understand. I know how that works. But see, because I'm not locked into the Democrats that way, they're not going to send me talking points. But I know how it goes. I'm like, oh, okay. So okay, you're buzzing. I get it. They could do that. That's a point of vulnerability for her. So it makes me wonder. I mean, wait a minute. Who's not, because you're not helping her when you don't talk about this, Daryl. That hurts her.
Yeah.
Just as, I mean, I think it's great for Barack Obama to go out with her, but you know who needs to be with her? Michelle. And Michelle ain't out there with her. who gives her the credibility with Black women, it's a wrap.
And Santita, the population, when we're talking about those that are previously convicted of felonies, sometimes it's a difficult population to reach because there's a heavy distrust that's there of the system. But let me just drop this nugget because I know that we've heard of the speaking of it. So we estimated.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm hearing something, some interference. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, all right.
Santita, I just wanted to drop this one nugget. We estimate that there are approximately 18 million people that have been formally convicted of a crime, a felony crime, that are able to vote but don't know they're able to vote. What does that account to? 18 million people.
That's major.
18 million people have been convicted of a felony, of a crime, and they're able to vote. But they don't know that they're able to vote. They don't believe that they're able to vote because of the past practices and what's been ingrained into our political system. That 18 million number, that equates somewhere between 3 and 5% of the electorate, which can change an election, which is what Reverend Hardiman was speaking of. The question is, who will go and let those folks know that they can vote? Who's going to pick up the baton and say, look, you're not experiencing a civil death with voting. You can go out and you can exercise that right. That's the question right now that's on that, and no candidate is doing that. We're not hearing that anywhere. The closest we come to hearing it is when they make mention of the Freedom to Vote Act. Well, folks don't know what the Freedom to Vote Act is all about, and they don't know that that's included. But there has to be someone at some point that's just got to come forward and say, this is what it is. And when you're speaking of Vice President Harris, with regards to the executive order, I don't know what's going on in the White House. I don't know that she's not pressing President Biden to say, look, push this executive order through. We need this. And because of his conservativeness and his moderate positions that he historically has taken, he's saying, no, I'm not going to do it.
No, we need to press him. He's still president. She's running for that job.
Yes.
For that, no, we need to be pressing him, not pressing her. Press him. Make him do it. And then you know what you also do? Press the guys who pushed him out. Press Pelosi, press Obama. Let's keep it a buck right here, okay? This is what happened. He got pushed out. Push them to push him. Next.
Yep, you got it. I mean, that's precisely what we need. I'm sorry, Christina.
Or Biden's wife to push her, because.
Excuse me. That's right. I'm sorry. The person who runs the staff meetings. There you go.
I mean, and I gotta jump in. I don't know if you heard it. I haven't said this out publicly, but during the vice presidential debate, when Waltz brought up to Vance the January 6th, and he really pushed on the whole, well, are you going to contest the election if we win? And the energy was very clear to me, and Biden's come out as well, riding off that train. They really have, the way that I read that is that it's predetermined for Harris to win no matter that energy. I don't know if you picked up on that in the VP debate in Biden recently, so I hope I'm wrong. I'm an optimist, but the reality is the electoral system is so flawed right now. Trump won once, just like Ross Perot got into the debates once. Nobody else has been led into the debates since Ross Perot. Is anybody else going to win after Trump won one time? So, I mean, we have this insular right building, through the Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and around the Trump, great, Charlie Kirk and all, but it's insular. And that's not a true independent movement. And so that's why I'm just sticking it out, because I have great relations with Kennedy and Gabbard and Marianne Williamson and, Ralph Nader to Ron Paul, and the Ross Perot movement actually has backed United We Stand.
And wait, I'm hearing something in the background. And I can
think
hear.
That's Doctor, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Latrice.
But
did y'all hear that? Do you
yep,
know that?
absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
I just want to make sure with the experts here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna have to.
I mean, I heard a candidate say that he wouldn't concede the election. That's what I heard. Not that one was going to predetermine when, but I heard that we have a problem in the fact that the only reason we're not in bigger dog something is because the reason that Vance is on the stage is because that Donald Trump basically was like, yeah, go hang him. go hang Mike Pence. That's the reason why Mike Pence isn't there again. Vance is there because he said, go overturn the election on January 6th, and then Pence didn't do it. Vance has said multiple times that if he was in the same position, he would do it. And so that's the problem. I mean, we can believe me, we can go on and criticize the, Harris and Waltz as much as possible when it comes to not pushing against, voting or not pushing for more voting rights and things like that. But to say that that's not them, that's them saying it's already predetermined.
Well,
I mean,
that's Biden and Waltz, not Harris.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think what you have right now is a system that's in trouble, a system that is distrusted and mistrusted.
Yeah.
And you can't call everybody a conspiracy theorist. That is from the CIA. And that was designed to keep people away from questioning the system. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It never did. And until the integrity is put back in the system, until you have everybody debating, until you have everybody who has a free and equal and open pathway to the vote, until you have a system of counting the vote that is trusted, which it is not. With all the hacking in computers, you mean to tell me? And they've already done documentaries where you enter Santita's name and Zach Roberts' name comes out. Now, when you have that and people know it, so it's like, everybody, we need to stop. Stop arguing for a party. Become patriots. Save the country. We can't go on like this. You cannot go on with a system that has this much distrust, mistrust. No one believes in it. And that's when you won't have peace. That's what bothers me. Look, I believe in democracy. I put that over the Democratic Party. I believe in the Republic. I put that over the Republican Party. I'm not thinking about any of them. What I'm thinking about is having this American experiment and it work. I know how it started off, but the way it started is not the way it needs to end. I know it started off as the oligarchs against the monarchs, okay? And the oligarchs won, which meant that, okay, if you were a property white man, you were in the mix. Anybody who wasn't, you were out of it. Well, America has evolved because somewhere in those documents, people really took it seriously and said, you know what, I'm in this too. Me too. I know you didn't mean it, Benjamin Franklin. I know you didn't mean it, Thomas Jefferson. George Washington. I know you all had slaves. I get it. But you know what? Somewhere, the genius and the divinity in those documents is that we are all in there. That's why people need to vote. And you need to get involved. America works when you work it. And it eats you up when you don't get involved. Now, either you have a seat at the table or you are on the menu. You choose or lose. You're the ones who have to decide what you want. Go to saveyourvote.org. Look at Vigilantes Inc. When you see that, and when you tell people, Yvonne, tell them, Carol, tell them go to saveyourvote.org so that they can see this movie. When you see it, you'll be inspired. Tune in to us on October 23rd when we have the free and equal elections. That debate is going to be something very powerful because you're going to wonder why wasn't everybody else there. Tune into Daryl Jones and Theo Hardiman. Daryl Jones every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on WOL. You can hear him everywhere. And the Transformative Justice Coalition is coming to a city near you. Check them out. And then Theo Hardiman on WVON at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Central Standard Time every Sunday morning before Keep Hope Alive at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, got to be quiet because she is a psychologist and she is examining all of us. God bless you. Don't say anything. Everybody, that's right. It makes you.
You're not right.
Spoke too much.
We love you. Hey, what you read into that? I love you, everybody. Can't wait to be with you tomorrow. And God bless everybody, to our Jewish brothers and sisters. Happy New Year. And you know what? All we're saying is that give peace a chance. It is our choice.
Okay.
It is our choice.
That's all we're asking.
And I mean, in the Middle East, throughout Africa, throughout Europe, wherever there is unrest, we want justice. And when we have justice, we will have peace. And let love prevail and abide everywhere. That is the commandment. It's not the suggestion, everybody. God bless you. Have a great one. And thank you, my lovely panel. I love you all. Santita
Peace.
Jackson of 950 Radio.
Love you all.